Good day, my name is Booi. I'm a stone fruit rootstock breeder for the ARC at Infrutech in Stellenbosch, but I'm based at Bindon Research Farm in Simondiam in Pa. The title of the project that I'll be working on is on ring nematode tolerance of South African bred rootstock selections or hybrids in pot trials. So basically with this work, we're planning to evaluate both ARC bred rootstock hybrids which were specifically bred for ring nematode tolerance together with commercial rootstocks. As a little bit of a background for this work, the ARC in the past has bred quite a number of these rootstocks specifically for ring nematode tolerance. These were further screened under controlled glasshouse conditions for many years, and we've managed to obtain some resistances to some of these rootstock hybrids. These were evaluated for compatibility and assessed for rooting ability under unnecessary conditions. These rootstock hybrids were never evaluated outside the glasshouse, so meaning that it will be the first time for them to be evaluated outside the glasshouse in pots. Ring nematode is an important economic pest, and as such, in 2016, a meeting was organized with industry role players to set up a project of this nature. Present in the meeting was Professor Karen Theron, Professor Vian Stein, Professor Antoinette Malan, Dr. Pete Stassin, Mr. Matthew Edison, and others. So what are these nematodes? They are ectoparasites, meaning that they feed on the outside of the roots. They spend their entire life cycle in the soil. Their feeding mechanism involves inserting their stylet in the roots while the body remains on the outside. Vast majority of them feed on root hairs and epidermal cells. So what are the symptoms associated with ring nematode infestations? You will find that the trees become started and there's a steady decline in production, which will ultimately lead to tree death. The tricky part about ring nematode is that you won't be able to see the symptoms right away. You can only see the symptoms, say, after 3 to 5 years after planting, meaning that you have invested all the time and money in your orchard, or to find out you will have an orchard that will not produce. So what is the plan for this project? We plan to use rooted cuttings set up in a randomized block design in pots. We plan to include negative and positive control rootstock cultivars in the trial. Each pot will be inoculated with ring nematode worms. Data will be collected at determined intervals. After a few months of inoculation, we will inspect for ring nematode presence by calculating reproduction factor of the nematodes in the soil. We also received some inputs from Professor Antoinette Malan as well as Ms. Sheila Stone of Nematode when we were planning for this project. Previous work which was done on this ring nematode was done on peach tree short life, which is a disease associated with ring nematode infestations. This was done at Clemson University by Professor Gregory Reichert together with Dr. Lee, who was a student at the time. We also received some inputs from researchers from the University of California, Davis, in California, whom I visited when I was at the US in 2016. I was there to get some more information on the ring nematode and how it actually affects the plants and all that stuff. Other objectives as we plan to take this project into a PhD study, where we'll be using recent technologies like your Proteomics, where we plan to identify and characterize differential abundant biomarkers in tolerance versus susceptible cultivars. By so doing, we want to find out which markers are linked to ring nematode tolerance and what their roles are. We also plan to use a technology called transcriptomics, where we want to identify the regulatory mechanisms underlining the ring nematode tolerance in stone fruit rootstocks. So the impact of the study will help producers to make informed decisions when selecting rootstocks for planting at a commercial level. This study will also identify biomarkers linked specifically to ring nematode tolerance and what their functions are. This study will also enhance tolerance in more susceptible rootstock cultivars in future breeding, meaning that we'll be able to identify genes for ring nematode tolerance and inoculate or incorporate it into susceptible rootstock cultivars. I would like to acknowledge Hotgrow for financially supporting this work. Some of the people who will be in my team is Dr. Alicia Kleinert, who is a plant physiologist, Dr. Ashwood Klein, who is a Proteomics specialist at the University of the Western Cape, and I'll be the student in this project. Thank you.